How's it going, everybody? ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're jumping straight back into the FireRed LeafGreen Legendary Speedrun Series with Ho-Oh, and despite having the typing of a Charizard, Ho-Oh is oddly enough nowhere near as good as our lizard friend, as it doesn't get a single attacking move until level 22 in Gust. Not a good look for Brock at all. Not to mention a 4x weakness to rock-type moves will definitely keep it from being able to clear the fight at a low level like its brethren. At the very least, later on I'll have access to great moves like Fly and Flamethrower, but Ho-Oh's level up learn set with the exception of Recover is completely useless. After all, there's no chance I get to level 77 for Sacred Fire, which I'd love to have, but this isn't Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where Ho-Oh gets it at level 43. However, Ho-Oh's stats are where it excels, as do most legendaries, with oddly enough the highest base stat being a whopping 154 special defense. This will help specially against the water and electric type weaknesses later on, and with a base 130 attack stat, flying moves should do amazing, as well as a base 110 special attack for fire attacks, and other coverage moves like Giga Drain and Psychic. Sadly though, a base 90 defense will definitely put Ho-Oh at odds with the rock type moves like stated before, but enough talking, let's see exactly how much of a problem Brock will be. Oh, and leave a comment below guessing how much time it'll take Ho-Oh to get through the region, and what level it will finish at. And compare your guesses to the leaderboard at the end of the video. I replaced Charmander with Ho-Oh as my starter, since that makes the most sense. My rival will get Blastoise at the end. I also made sure to edit Ho-Oh's starting learn set to have Gust, since I did the same for the Reggie trio so they didn't start with Explosion. After all, Ho-Oh gets Gust at level 9 and beyond in just about every game afterwards, so it just makes sense to put it on the same playing field as the others. The rival fight goes swimmingly as Squirtle goes down in 2 gusts, letting me move on towards Brock. Now, I did try to immediately jump into his gym, and I did manage to take out his junior trainers Sandshrew and Geodude without losing more than half health at level 10, so I figured that leveling up in that fight to level 11 that I might stand a decent chance against Brock, since I can Whirlwind away his defense increases like Harden. This does not work out well though. Despite the ability to get through his Geodude consistently, I barely can lay in any damage on Onix before going down to Rock Tomb, so I decided to do some grinding. I went all the way up to level 15, just one level above Onix, and decided to try using Whirlwind first so that I'd be at full HP for Onix, taking out Geodude later. Even then, Onix was just too good at dishing out the pain with Rock Tomb, so I continued to grind, reaching all the way up to level 19 in order to challenge Brock and not be pushed around. I decided that just going straight for Gust on Geodude was the right option, and I was right, with it only doing a few points of damage with Tackle before I managed to do it into the dirt with 5 Gusts, leaving Onix as his last mon. Rock Tomb still does an amazing amount of damage, even at this level. The fight still is not consistent at all because of it. It took me a good few attempts before I managed to get enough tackles and binds from Onix as opposed to Rock Tomb, and that was during a damageless run on his Geodude. Goes to show just how glaring of a weakness rock types are, and just how much I need to play around it, especially in places like Rock Tunnel and against fights with Giovanni. I'm sure Ho-Oh's already locked into C rank or lower by this point, but it's only going to get worse with the next 2 gym leaders. Our second obstacle is Misty, and while nothing on the way up to her was a problem, there was no way I was going after her without taking care of routes 24 and 25 first. The rival fight was great, as Pidgeot and Squirtle took 2 gusts apiece, and Abra and Rattata only took 1 to win me the fight, letting me get a few more levels before deciding what to do next by the time I got the SS ticket. I figured, why not, I can just try Misty and get lucky, or be underestimating how good Ho-Oh is at this point. Misty leads with Staryu, which is a one-shot with Gust, very cool, leading to Starmie. Of course, because why wouldn't it be any different, Starmie's first Water Pulse lands Confusion on Ho-Oh, but it's able to retaliate with a critical Gust just short of KOing, and making her use a Super Potion as I'm able to break through Confusion again, landing a second Gust. Next turn, Starmie fires back with a critical Water Pulse, but Ho-Oh's still confused, fortunately not hitting itself as I fire back with a third Gust, leaving just one more turn for each of us. It uses Water Pulse, barely not KOing Ho-Oh as it finally snaps out, landing one last Gust for the victory. I'm actually surprised that went that well. I really expected to have to use the SS and to grind, but there we go, 2 badges down, 6 to go. Speaking of the SS and, that's our next destination with rival battle number 3 waiting in the wings. First try manages to get through it as Pidgeot does a one-shot with a critical Gust, leading to Wartortle. Gust does a wee bit over half as he uses Withdraw, surviving a second as a result and landing a Water Gun. Fortunately, he has no healing items yet, so a third Gust KOs, leaving the rest of his team to fall to a single Gust apiece. Raticate to a critical, and Kadabra to a normal one, winning me the match. Rival, more like Obstacle that just wastes more of my time. That was a bad joke. After getting cut, I just taught it to Farfetch'd as I normally do, moving into Surge's Gym as the last difficult gym battle of the early game. This is actually where I decided to teach Ho-Oh the TM for Secret Power, as I figured I needed a move that all of Lieutenant Surge's Pokemon didn't resist, and that ended up being a great decision. Surge leads with Voltorb as I go for Gust on accident, doing under half damage as he fires back with Shockwave, leaving it to go down to his Secret Power next turn, leading into Pikachu. It's pretty low level at this stage of the game, going down to a Secret Power, leaving just Raichu remaining. Luckily for me, it's unable to really establish its Paralysis Evasion lock, as Secret Power does over half damage before Ho-Oh gets paralyzed itself, missing next turn due to a single double team. But it's not enough, as after Shockwave lands next turn, the third Secret Power connects, adding yet another W to the column of Gen 2's resident legendary fried chicken. At least that one was a little bit less painful than Brock, but I think the paralysis was definitely more of a threat than specifically what Misty could deal out. But with that said, let's get into the stretch. You know the one. So, plug time. Since you're this far into the video, you must be interested, right? First up, if you'd like to get access to these videos early, sometimes a day in advance, sometimes more, make sure to head on over to my Patreon page and become a $5 a month or more backer, link in the description. Secondly, we're closing in on 90,000 subscribers, and eventually 100,000, and 73% of my audience is unsubscribed, so I'd very much appreciate it if you'd help bring the channel to that fabled 6 digits. Lastly, I'd like to invite you all to my Discord server. I try my best to interact with viewers as much as I can in there, and we're closing in on 1,000 members. Link in the description as well, along with my Twitter so you can read about how much I wish that WWE would be complete and utter garbage, and how AEW's just so much better than them. With all that aside, oh, there we go. I'm finally in Celadon City, and it's time for me to actually resume making progress. Of course, the first thing I wanted to get my hands on here was the HM for Fly, since that should allow me to rip and tear right through Erica's team without a care in the world, replacing Gust and heading straight for her. I also tossed on Aerial Ace earlier during the stretch, since it was available on Route 9, and having a move that bypasses accuracy is super helpful since there seems to be a lot of Pokemon with Sand Attack, Smokescreen, and Double Team running around in Kanto. Anyway, Erica leads off with Victory Bell, so I went for Fly, KOing next turn and then using Aerial Ace following up on Tangela to KO it, and whipping out one more Fly to KO Vileplume, throwing her team for a loop and winning the Rainbow Badge. Sorry bud, maybe one day I'll do a run where you have a Ferrothorn and some fan game and you're not completely ripped to shreds by flying type moves. The Rocket Hideout is nowhere near worrisome, though the fact that Giovanni has both a Rhyhorn and Onix does make things a little bit frustrating. He leads with Onix, and I forgot to heal before going into this fight, so I immediately started with Recover, then laid into it with Secret Power, paralyzing after 2 shots and moving over to Aerial Ace so that I could get the additional stab damage. This takes 2 Aerial Aces, a Recover, and a critical before I managed to take it out, leading to Rhyhorn. The first Secret Powder that landed on Rhyhorn managed to paralyze it, making it relatively trivial to take down with a mix of Aerial Ace and Fly, leaving just Kangaskhan. Unfortunately for me, Kangaskhan goes down to 2 Flies because Fly does just over half, giving me that victory I always desire over the infinite money laundering man that is Giovanni. Next up is the 4th rival battle, and he's not too big of a deal. He leads with Pidgeotto, barely surviving a Secret Power after landing a Quick Attack, and for some reason it didn't go for it next turn, so I outsped and KO'd with Aerial Ace, leading to Wartortle. Secret Power does enough over half that a Withdraw doesn't prevent a 2-hit KO, with Growlithe coming out 3rd. Intimidate does a bit of irritation here since it makes Secret Power not one-shot, but that's fine as Ember doesn't do anything, with Aerial Ace KOing next turn, it as well as Execute next turn, leaving just Kadabra to fall to the same fate. A little bit more interesting of a fight than usual, I'll take it. After rescuing Mr. Fuji though, I wanted to grab 2 TMs. The first of which, of course, I wanted was Flamethrower, but I still don't have enough money. I only had enough to get about half the coins needed to buy it, but I can easily get the other one. Flying back to Celadon City, I made sure to grab the T and head into Saffron City in order to get the TM for Psychic. I figured it would make my life easier to destroy Koga with it, and sure enough, it does. But the first attempt doesn't actually result in a win, mostly because of Toxic from Muck. Despite the fact that I was able to one-shot both Coughings and two-shot Muck, Wheezing ended up barely not going down to Psychic, leading to a bunch of stalling with healing items and making me lose. So I tried again, being stubborn and forgetting about a Pecha Berry, but this attempt led to Muck using Acid Armor instead of Toxic, and I got a special defense drop on Wheezing with my first Psychic, letting me follow up with a KO after a Hyper Potion heals Wheezing to full. Can't say I'm surprised, but I should have seen the poison coming. With that, I still don't have enough money to buy the TM for Flamethrower, so it's self-company time, and I should be just fine. I also remembered to use the path that avoids the trainer on the 3rd floor to save some minuscule time. Good stuff. But it doesn't really matter too much. Rival 5 time, and he leads with Pidgeot, who I managed to paralyze immediately with Secret Power, doing slightly under half damage as he lands Wing Attack for minimal damage. It's paralyzed next turn, letting me hit 2 Aerial Aces to KO, with Blastoise coming out second. I went for Secret Power, trying to paralyze, but that didn't work. So he takes me down to around half HP with Water Gun, so I follow up with a Recover and get back to work with Secret Power. He keeps going with Water Gun as I finally paralyze him on the last turn I physically could've. But then he starts doing enough damage and crits to hold me in Recover for a bit before I can finally KO with Aerial Ace, leading to Growlithe 3rd. Again, Intimidate's a pain, but 2 Secret Powers is still plenty enough to KO, with Execute this time managing to survive thanks to Growlithe's efforts next turn, managing to paralyze Ho-Oh with Stun Spore. Not too big of a deal though, since Aerial Ace still manages to finish it off next turn, with Alakazam as his last man standing. Brittle defenses are always this thing's downfall, but Paralysis does give it enough time to set up Reflect, and whittle me down with not 1, but 2 Future Sights before I'm finally able to rip through the power of Paralysis, winning me the fight with a couple of Aerial Aces and leaving just Giovanni. This should be quite a bit easier thanks to Psychic, but we'll see. He leads with Nidorino, and I accidentally hit Recover, but next turn I am able to one-shot it with Psychic, leading into Rhyhorn. This one barely doesn't go down to Psychic, but I figured I'd save some power points by KOing with Secret Power, leaving half of his team remaining. Kangaskhan's his next choice, which just goes down to 3 Secret Powers. I'm not sure why it didn't go for anything more than 2 Tail Whips and Rage, but even with -2 defense, Nidoqueen's Body Slam and Double Kick aren't anything that Recover can't stave off, letting me land 2 Psychics to win the battle and open up Sabrina's gym. Surely enough, that gym goes down to 5 Aerial Aces. It would have taken 4 if I had gotten a high roll on Alakazam, but she uses a Hyper Potion after setting up Calm Mind, but a critical saves off that attempt as well, winning me the Marsh Badge. 6 down, 2 to go, and I still don't have a fire move. Great job, fried chicken thing. I guess it doesn't really matter right now, since I don't need a fire move to fight a fire gym leader. I mean, Metallica does, but they're not doing Pokemon challenges. I do, however, get offered to learn Fire Blast at level 44 while I'm in there, but I really felt comfortable holding on to Aerial Ace, Secret Power, and Psychic for now. And in case you're curious as to where Fly went, FireRed and LeafGreen do have a move deleter in Fuchsia City, unlike how you were permanently stuck with HMs on Pokemon in the original games. That aside, Blaine can't really touch me, so let's see how many attacks it takes to force an old man into submission. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to mention that Ho-Oh can get Calm Mind, so I replaced Secret Power and Aerial Ace with Calm Mind and Giga Drain. So much for feeling comfortable with the physical set. I set up 4 Calm Minds before being reminded that Roar is a thing, not being roared out because it failed, but I did start clicking on Psychic, KOing his Growlithe, Ponyta, Rapidash, and Arcanine all with 1 Psychic apiece, leaving just Giovanni to tear through. Giovanni sort of falls to the same fate, as I set up 2 Calm Minds before nailing a Giga Drain on his first Rhyhorn, Psychic on the second, Giga Drain on Dugtrio, and a Psychic each on Nidoqueen and Nidoking, cleaning up shop with the 8 gym badges. I mean, really, I'm basically at the point where I was with Celebi. Same moveset, different Pokemon. Rival number 6 leads with Pidgeot, as I set up 3 Calm Minds, but that's not enough to KO with Psychic, so I just used Recover in between before going for a second to KO, leading to Blastoise. Of course, Ho-Oh outspeeds and destroys it with a critical Giga Drain, doing the same to Rhyhorn as Growlithe intimidates me, but now that I'm a special attacker, it doesn't matter as it falls to Psychic. 5th out is Execute, and it somehow still goes down to Psychic despite resisting it, leaving just Alakazam. I'm a bit of an idiot and continue using Psychic, letting him disable it before shifting over to Giga Drain, which does not surprisingly put Alakazam away, but the second one does, so it doesn't really matter winning me the fight. With that fight in the bag though, I finally have enough money to go ahead and grab the TM for Flamethrower from the game corner, so I flew back to grab that, traveled through Victory Road, and grabbed the rare candy in there, and somehow ran into a few optional trainers. I haven't done that in a while, and that certainly doesn't help my time whatsoever. Here's hoping that Ho-Oh doesn't do much more poorly in comparison to the Reggie trio. With some healing items in the bag though, I should be able to easily combat this Elite Foreign champion. Before going in though, I threw all of my rare candies at Ho-Oh, getting it to level 57 before giving it a Chesto Berry in preparation for Lorelei's Jinx, and handed in. Lorelei's lead is Dugong as always, so I toss out Ho-Oh's Calm Mind for a few turns, doing so through Hail, Surf, and Safeguard, getting another 2 off through Surf where it finally gets a crit, so I move to Giga Drain to KO, getting back to near half HP as she sends in a Cloyster. It goes for Protect, shocking, but I went for Giga Drain anyway, wasting a power point but next turn finishing it off and nearly healing to full. Lapras is out third, and it does go down to Giga Drain, healing me up to that final full point, with Slowbro coming out fourth and still going down to Giga Drain. I had a feeling that that's what would have happened with Cloyster, since now this is a 2-shot with Psychic. So that's exactly why I gave the Chesto Berry to Ho-Oh, to prevent Lovely Kiss from putting me to sleep. Fortunately, I don't even need it as Lovely Kiss missed, letting me hit that second Psychic for the winning blow. Bruno's up next, and it's not a shock that Psychic tears through his entire team, only needing 2 Calm Minds before using Recover since I'm currently out of Giga Drain power points, KOing with Psychic next turn on his first Onix. The same happens to Hitmonchan, Machamp, Hitmonlee, and Onix number 2, tearing through the martial artist like a hot knife through butter. You don't want to know the joke I originally wrote for this part of the video? Go ask Stevie Blunder. He knows. Link in the description. Third on the docket is Agatha, and honestly, I probably could have done this without Calm Mind, but I decided to use 2 of them as Gengar matched them with Double Team. My first Psychic missed as she used a third one, but I managed to finally land a Psychic on my second attempt of it, sweeping through the rest of her team after taking it out, KOing Golbat, Arbok, Gengar number 2, and Haunter to win the hard-fought slaughter that just occurred. Alright, well, let's see if Lance can even stand a chance. Oh, right. Gyarados' best attack is Dragon Rage. After using 2 of them, I used Recover to live through more Dragon Rages, eventually maxing out on Calm Mind and destroying his team with 5 Psychics, taking out Gyarados, Aerodactyl, both Dragonairs, and Dragonite, all through Paralysis that was recovered by a held Cherry Berry, and some recovers, since Aerodactyl was probably one of the most threatening Pokemon in the run. But that wasn't Lance's lead, now was it? One more battle to go, and of course, that's against the rival, the champion. Pidgeot's out first, so of course, Calm Mind to go Burr, but I see Sand Attack come out, so after the first one of those, I threw a Flamethrower out on it, KOing and leading to Blastoise. I figured that this would be smarter to finish my Calm Mind setup on it, using 2 more before taking a Rain-boosted Hydro Pump, trading back with Recovers until he was out of Hydro Pump, then finishing off my Calm Minds and taking it out with Psychic. Rhydon then falls to Psychic, leading to Alakazam to do the same to Flamethrower. 2 remain, first being Executor, being fried by Flamethrower, leaving just Arcanine to fall with Psychic, though it may try with Extreme Speed, avoiding a Psychic thanks to that Sand Attack earlier on the fight, and landing a second. It still does nothing, as I ended the run at level 61 with a time of 4 hours and 51 minutes. Yeah, third worst is not good. If I had actual moves to start out, maybe a special move to take on Brock with, I probably wouldn't have been in such a bad position. But having to start out by grinding to level 19 basically puts Ho-Oh's beginning on par with the unevolved Pokemon that I'm working with in the 386 Challenge series. It was piss poor, but definitely recovered as time went on, eventually just becoming Bird Celebi by the end. Not sure if I really could have pushed it up to Regice this time though. 20 minutes is a lot to shave off of a run that I felt was pretty fast moving in and of itself. Anyway, next time on the Legendary Speedrun Series, we'll see how Lugia fares in comparison. Hint, it has the same damn properties and problems as Ho-Oh. See you guys then! If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell, tell a friend, and don't spend more than a minute doing that, since if you are, you're taking too long. I want to give a huge shout out to my $10 and above patrons, Justin Dimmenstein, Zachary Keever, Aiden Brandon, Andy Garber, Casper Kirkpatrick, David Dunn, Kyle Campbell, Landon, Michael Evans, Phoenix Fire, and Xeno. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you'd like to support as well, you can head over to my Patreon page, link in the description, where you can get access to stuff like videos early, an exclusive role in my Discord server, link also in the description, challenge requests, and much more. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this, and I'll see you guys next time with another challenge. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.